Well, hello everybody and welcome to It's Called Soccer. I'm Rebecca Lowe, host of the Premier League on NBC, joined by Arsenal and England legend. As always, every week we're going to have him, Mr. Theo Walcott. And we were talking last week about the big transfer business that we did by bringing in Theo Walcott. We're just like the Nottingham Forest of podcasts because we seem to be making signings every single day. And now we have the New England Revolution legend, face of MLS on Apple TV. Welcome back, because he was here with us during the summer, of course, Mr. Taylor Twellman. Hello, Taylor.
How are you guys? Theo, nice to meet you. And you can turn your volume down because I may be a little loud for you, Theo.
I'll tell you what, though, you'll understand every part of my tongue because I'm from Berkshire. So, yeah, I'm a very well-spoken young man. There we go.
Correct in comparison to former participants. Can we just, before we go any further, Theo,
yes.
When you were setting up your camera, we were a little bit concerned because you were just sort of in an empty room with a sort of glass window that looks a little bit like you might be in prison. So we asked you to sort of move your camera. And actually, for the viewers on YouTube, and if you're listening, you probably need to try and find YouTube ASAP because you're going to want to see the picture that is behind Theo Walcott. Theo, could you do a tilt, please?
I can. It's terrifying, to be honest. I've got all eyes on me right now. Look at that.
What in God's name is that?
It's like Pennywise, isn't it? But even scarier.
That looks like Gary Neville after a weekend out.
Maybe it's Gary and Jamie. Do you know what? I don't know about you. I'm no art expert. That's probably some like super famous painting out there.
Absolutely.
And we're probably just absolutely hammering it. But you are on holiday. Is that right, Theo? Down in Dorset, which is like England's back garden.
I am on the Jurassic Coast, actually, seeing Durdle Door. I got back from a very sweaty walk. My heart's pumping, put it that way. Yeah.
And you've left the children on the walk, is that right?
Yeah, they're somewhere in the mountains somewhere, yeah. They're fine.
Brilliant.
They'll get back.
Brilliant, as long
fine.
as they don't interrupt. Brilliant.
No,
okay.
Yeah, I know, fingers crossed.
Taylor, what have you been up to?
You know me, traveling around doing Lionel Messi Inter Miami games, MLS games. We got Leagues Cup quarterfinals. We're as busy as ever. Hang on,
Messi, did he score at the weekend?
He scored and then had one of the best assists ever. A blind ball to Suarez, right heel. It's just, he's 38 playing like he's 32.
Oh my gosh. You know one thing, I've never seen him play live. Isn't that insane?
What?
I know.
Really?
I know.
I'll tell you what.
It's one of those weird things. I know.
I tell you what though, Lionel Messi, a story on him. I remember playing against him numerous occasions, right? And we lost at the Nou Camp. And it got to the end of the game and Arsene Wenger caught me after the game and he saw that I was talking to Lionel Messi and he said, at the top of the stairs at the Nou Camp, I don't know if anyone's been at the Nou Camp or where the players walk down the stairs or have seen it on the TV, but he said to me, Theo, why did you not push him down the stairs?
He didn't say that.
Yes, he did. He 100% said it.
What, like not seriously?
I don't know. That's the thing.
The most unlikely thing to ever happen, Theo Walcott pushes Leo Messi down the stairs. That ain't happening. Right, gentlemen, we have got so much to get to in terms of Premier League and some US men's national team bits and pieces that's going on as well. But we have to start, both of you, with the beautiful tributes to Diogo Jota and his brother Andre Silva over the course of the weekend in England. For those of our viewers who watch us on NBC, which I'm sure most people do, they would have seen that we took our show on the road this weekend. So we were lucky enough to be there at Anfield on Friday night. And then at Molineux, of course, Jota's first club where he spent 3 years. We went there on Saturday. Both clubs did beautiful tributes. You'll Never Walk Alone is always special. It felt triple so, if not more. And then at Molineux, they had some tifos and his wife was there as well. Jota's wife was at both games. You know what I really liked, though? There was obviously a lot of photographers trained on his wife, on Ruta Cardoso, but the Sky cameras decided not to show her, which I thought was really respectful because that would be incredibly gratuitous and nothing in it for anybody. Why do we need to see her? But just knowing that she was there made it extra poignant. Theo, what did you make of the tributes?
Beautiful, of course. It's tragic. It's sad. So sad, of course. But it's just incredible what football does to people and how they can show, their support in such a horrible moment. And what was really fascinating for me, obviously, at Old Trafford as well, being that connection with Liverpool and Man United, it just shows that there is actually the human side, which is really nice to see. I think we actually forget about that at times. We think of footballers as, or football in general at times as not normal people, or not normal. But when you meet people out the street, like us, people met me here, and I'm very normal. But it's really incredible scenes at all the grounds, and I'm sure it would continue, and it should continue, because it is, what a special man, and it's really sad, obviously, for his family as well, and for football in general. But what a man to be well remembered, of course. I got a chance to go see the memorial actually recently down at near the new Everton Stadium at Anfield, and playing against this player, and then when you see this happen, and you see it, it's incredible, the words that people have written on the walls and around Anfield itself. So very special. It will stay with everyone for so long. So look, absolutely incredible scenes everywhere.
Taylor, we had Arne Slot come over to the desk after the game, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but
we did.
I asked him, you did, about the emotion, and he got tears in his eyes throughout the whole of his answer, but he said how at 2-2, he'd said to the players like he would normally have looked for Diogo, and he got pretty choked up when he said that, and it was just quite impressive, I thought, for him as a person, the way he handled himself and the whole of the club as well. Tay.
Rebecca, it also just it helps you realize how it's very real for those teammates and those coaches and everyone within Liverpool. I thought the interview was as transparent and real as anything I've seen in a long, long time. Because in that moment, he might have been a little reserved of saying, do I tell the real honest-to-God truth of how I felt, of looking down the bench and not realizing that was a guy that I brought in time and time again to help us get results. I also think the part of the story that's kind of gone unnoticed as much as one of his best friends, if not his best friend, Ruben Neves, of just traveling around the world and making sure that he's there for his wife and the family. And it's just a reminder for so many of us. We fret about yesterday, we worry about tomorrow, but we forget about today. And I think we just all need to, at times, look at what's going on and recognize that all you can really have as a guarantee in life is the moment that you're living in. And I think Liverpool players are still struggling with it. They might not say it publicly, but I still think emotionally it's going to be difficult to just get into the season as quickly as maybe Theo and others would. You have that tragedy. It's difficult to overcome.
Yeah, and you saw Mo Salah at the end standing in front of the Kop in tears, and I think that just displayed for everyone just how much went into that performance, just how much is going to have to go into this season emotionally for all these players. So, of course, we continue to send our love to Diogo Jota and Andre Silva's family, and I think it will be a constant, as you guys say, over the course of this season. This season feels like it kind of already belongs to both of those men. Let us move on and talk about what else we've got coming up on today's show. The Premier League is back, and we discuss a new look Liverpool.
I've never seen Virgil van Dijk this uncertain or this vulnerable in the moments of playing a high line.
A more pragmatic Arsenal.
You look at the old Arsenal teams when they win 1-0 away from home. No one remembers the way they played. I think it's all about results, particularly early on, because these are the points that really matter when the teams aren't up to scratch.
The goalkeeping situation at Manchester United.
We could be talking about January and February, talking about a trend where they gave up 10 to 12 points at the first month of the season because they couldn't figure out their goalkeeping situation. In my opinion, it's inexcusable.
And the laws of the game. You're not allowed to be less than a metre, brackets yard. That's quite literally a different measurement.
Which one is it?
Which one is it? How does football deal with racism in the game?
Obviously, people talk about points deductions, etc. But until something like that happens, it's going to continue, which is my sad truth, which is really hard to accept at this moment in time.
And Taylor responds to Christian Pulisic's latest comments on his criticism.
Here we are having conversations about the biggest moment, the biggest World Cup for the United States men's national team, and all we're talking about are players throwing their toys out of the sandbox.
That's all coming up on this week's episode of It's Called Soccer. All right, guys, let's get into the game itself. So Liverpool beating Bournemouth by 4-2. It was 2 minutes to go and it was 2-2. And then the substitute of Federico Chiesa comes on and then Mo Salah gets that fourth to really seal things. Taylor, let me start with you. Liverpool were interesting. Now, putting to one side the emotion of the night, Ugo, I think we're supposed to call him, Ugo Ekitike, brilliant. Going forward, as always, they look good. But the spaces they left at the back was interesting. Very unlike Liverpool. No Ryan Gravenberch, interesting. Difficult for them in the midfield. What did you take from their performance?
I'm going to go back, Rebecca, to the Community Shield game because I think the vulnerability was evident even in that game as well. Now, you brought up a couple good points in the sense that the back line, to me, for the first time in a long time in Liverpool, looks uncertain with whether or not it is the personnel that's missing in front of them in the midfield or there's a new approach. Because tactically, it felt like, to me, there was this new man-to-man press. Now, is that in part because of the new attacking players that they have brought in? I've never seen Virgil van Dijk this uncertain or this, I would say, vulnerable in the moments of playing a high line. Now, that was evident in the Community Shield, and even that came into the game on the weekend. Now, I can't believe I'm going to say this because uncharacteristically, they have spent a ton of money, but a lot of it has been on the attack. If you go back to the Community Shield game, because of the injury to Gomez, they didn't have any center back depth. Now, I understand they just signed an 18-year-old Leone. He's very much a project versus a finished product. I get all of that. So until Gomez is healthy, all of that. But the point is this, is that if there is going to be a new high line, man-to-man press, all of that, I have a feeling Liverpool is going to have to score 3 or 4 goals a game until they figure that out in order to leave with 3 points. They look vulnerable in the back. On the other hand, Ekitike, his movement, his touch, his awareness, all of that excellent. It almost looks like he's been in the Premier League for years. I think Wirtz is full of energy, his invention. I think he's going to be fine, but I don't know if they have enough depth on the back. And so until they figure out the personnel in the midfield, Virgil van Dijk looked vulnerable to me.
Theo?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I'm watching it back as well. I would love to play it against these fullbacks because of how much space they allow the wingers, particularly. Obviously, Semenyo had a lot of joy, of course. But yeah, going back to the Virgil van Dijk issue as well, for me, he's a player that is always, on a 1v1 situation, you put your money on him, no problem at all. But obviously, since this knee injury he's had as well, and I've been through that, you're going to lose a big fraction of your pace. You will. I lost a little bit as well, briefly, even though I probably didn't show it at times, but trust me, I really did. And the midfield balance, like you say there, Taylor, is really a tricky situation for them because they have so many gifted players that want the ball, but don't think about that. If we lose it, what's going to happen here? And then you have ball carriers, which Semenyo did for the second goal, who's just going to commit to Virgil van Dijk and Konate, who I feel at times, I don't know if you ever find this, but a lot of centre-halves always back off and you always want someone just to commit. But it just shows like you said, they're so vulnerable, but I got to agree, they're going to outscore teams. They just will. They're going to be great to watch. I think they'll be really exciting, of course. But look, I just feel they're going to need to dip into that market to look at that Guehi. I know it's a Palace. I know you don't like me saying it, Rebecca, but someone like Guehi who's a bit younger.
Yes. Who
can really... He's got the pace as well, and I think he could take over that throne from Virgil van Dijk in time. I think they need to get that player in sooner rather than later. But look, they're still, for me, favourites. I have to say that, even with these flaws at this moment in time, I believe.
Just before we finish on the game at Anfield, I've got to mention the Antoine Semenyo incident. I was there. I was lucky enough to be sat right behind Arne Slot, virtually on the bench, actually. And straight away, when the referee came over, we got to hear what was going on. And as many of you will have seen the clip, when Semenyo was taking a throw in a few minutes before, there was a gentleman in a wheelchair who'd come up, and he's now been arrested. He was taken out of the stadium in the second half. Took a little bit of time, but they got him in the second half. But he, according to the police, racially abused Antoine Semenyo, who went on to score 2 goals, which is absolutely the best way, of course, to respond. On Instagram, though, Semenyo the next day talked about how the night before will stay with him forever, not because of one person's words, he said, but because of how the entire football family stood together. And Theo, it did, and it acted quickly. And there is now a protocol where the game has to be paused and the referee has to go and talk to both managers, because I suppose at some point, if things progressed, then the discussion about whether or not the team leaves the field has to come into play. It's pretty common, unfortunately, online. We know that. But it's pretty rare, Theo, in the stadium for that to happen. And for it to happen on opening night of the new season, everybody was just like, what on earth?
It makes me sick, to be honest, every time you hear these stories and every time, so visually it was seen as well. Like you say, This shouldn't be happening. Simple as that. It's every time, even when there's penalty shootout, and of course, someone misses a penalty, and it always happens, and it's going to happen, and we're waiting for it to happen now. And look, I'm pleased that they've done the right thing now, and they've obviously the right authorities are dealing with this moment in time. But again, this shouldn't happen in this day and age. It really shouldn't, and it doesn't matter what message the players, and the Premier League itself, commit to throughout the year. It's a really hard call to try and stop this at this moment in time. Of course, obviously people talk about points deductions, etc. But until something like that happens, it's going to continue, which is my sad truth, which is really hard to accept at this moment in time.
I'm not even sure points deductions would change anything, Taylor.
It wouldn't, no.
It doesn't, no. But and also then you have that discussion about, well, who are we then punishing? We're punishing the players, and it's not the players' fault. They've already been punished if one of them's just had racial abuse. But yeah, they're looking for some ways, Theo, aren't they, of trying to fix it. But I wonder, Taylor, if it's really interesting with social media, because social media has allowed people to say what they want, and it's gone unchecked for so long, and it's only just now getting people put in prison for saying things which are illegal. I wonder whether that has allowed the parlance, the racism, the prejudice to almost filter back into society because people are doing it online. Do you know what I mean?
Yes, I think you hit the nail on the head. I really do, Rebecca, because it's the keyboard warriors that we're not used to seeing. And now with over the last 3 or 4 years, you don't even know if they're real people. They could be bots. The visualization and the visual identity of the person sitting in the wheelchair, talking to the player on the field, that in and of itself sticks in your mind for a long time. Now, I agree with you with the points reduction. I've always said the next home game Liverpool has, no fans. You want to really dive into it, take away the fans, take away the supporters, and really take that away. Because I agree with you. I don't think the points reduction does anything. But the moment you now play a home game at Anfield and there's nobody in there because of that, does that change it? And Rebecca, I don't even know if I'm 100% convinced on my idea that would change it because of what you said. Everyone now has a voice, everyone with a keyboard. Now they feel like this is completely normal. Yeah. They can do this. It's a sick state of affairs. I just don't know how to fix it. That's my issue, because I don't know about you guys, in any walk of life, you see something that's wrong and you're like, listen, let's fix this. How do we fix this? I don't know the answer. I don't. And as a privileged white man, I wish I could contribute on some level to say, this is how you create change. I don't know how to do that because it keeps continuously happening.
You can't police it. That's the problem. You can't police this, because then you could have people that could have been planted who aren't even particularly football fans in itself, and they just want to cause trouble. So it's a really hard balance. But I agree. Maybe just completely no fans or away fans. I mean,
but then Liverpool being, if it's
yes,
let's
now
say
the
it
players
happens
are being
at a home
punished.
team, the players are being punished again without having any fans. So, like you, I don't know what the answer is. All I know is that young kids, and actually every age, are seeing words on social media that 20 years ago, before social media, were absolute no-nos. They're now seeing these words that social media companies are not removing fast enough, and therefore they think, well, if it's said there, then it's okay to say it in real life. And we got a long way to go to reverse that, by the way. All right, chaps, let's get on to Arsenal. The 1-0 away win at Manchester United on Sunday. I was lucky enough to be there for that one as well. Oh, it was so interesting. I know it wasn't sort of like, there weren't tons of goals and Theo still celebrating. You did, to be fair, you did, and we'll get to picks of the week because Taylor, you and I already you weren't even here last week, so you're on minus, and I'm absolutely bottom of the table. So it feels to me, Theo, that Mikel Arteta has decided that those first few years of silky, beautiful, classic Arsenal football, which led to 0 silverware, he's like, nah, if we can get that as a bonus, great. But we'll go to Old Trafford and we'll slightly stink out the place. We slightly will. We'll grind it out. We'll take our 3 points. Arteta came to our desk afterwards. I have rarely seen him that happy. I mean, he was flipping on top of the world. Would that be a fair assumption, that you think his mindset now has changed a little bit, that he just needs that silverware no matter how they're playing?
I think you need to assess it the longer the season goes. I think Old Trafford, their first game of the season, is always going to be difficult, and I always used to think it would take me 3 or 4 games just to get up to match sharpness. You looked at Gyökeres as well. He's going to take a lot of time to get fit. I really do feel that. I think Havertz has got a big factor to play as well. I think it's going to be an interesting dynamic for Mikel to have, to be honest, but which will be the big call. That will be it then if he starts someone like a Havertz ahead of a Gyökeres at times. But yeah, I mean, it wasn't pretty to watch. It wasn't pretty. But what I really liked was the fact that there was no Timber starting. There was no Lewis Marcelli starting as well. The options they have now on the bench, Trossard didn't even play. And I think now this is the side of it where Arsenal will be strong with the amount of players he's got to pick from. The hard-working effort from the forward line, there was nothing at all. Gyökeres was off scraps, and I felt for him. I really did. And they did a job. I think, you look at the old Arsenal teams when they win 1-0 away from home, no one remembers the way they played. I think it's all about results, particularly early on, because these are the points that really matter when the teams aren't up to scratch right now, and they're not. And I don't care what anyone says. Maybe Man City were, but there's always a space to improve massively. I think we get quickly judged these teams very quickly.
Yeah.
But look, great result. It really was. But for me, we're talking about set pieces again as well, and I don't want to talk about that. But Old Trafford, I didn't win at Old Trafford. I never did. So look, they're doing something that I could never do.
Well, the set piece, Theo, that was interesting though, because it wasn't actually really the set. It wasn't it looked like it was going to be with a new set piece where they had, I think, 4 Arsenal players on the edge of the box. You thought, this looks interesting. Out comes Nicolas Jauvert, like standing on the edge. God, he loves a little bit of camera time. And there was the 4 players, and I thought, this is going to be great. And then Declan Rice, they'd obviously been told. Remember last season, Altay Bayindir let one in right under his bar. I think it was against Spurs, wasn't it? And he did a beautiful ball. And I mean, Bayindir was so weak, wasn't he?
He was in no man's land, by the way.
Right. Yeah. So even the goal wasn't even particularly. It was more sort of United being not so good as opposed to Arsenal being really good. Taylor, they would take 1-0 to the Arsenal.
Yes.
And grind out every game to lift the trophy.
Absolutely.
We all need to just stop looking for this Arsenal team to be this beautiful, silky team and just let them grind it out. Why not? Let them.
Rebecca, how many shows do you start with what theory regarding Arsenal? Can they win silverware? And Theo knows this way better than me, but I don't care what the style of play was. It's all for Arsenal about substance. You went to Old Trafford, and quite honestly, I thought the performance was very strong in the sense they didn't look like they were going to give up a goal. Yeah, they may have bent a little bit. I think United, if on a United perspective, just to get the thought out of the way, very positive. I can see why there's hope for them, all of that. But Arsenal didn't look troubled in the moment. And that is the kind of game, and I put this out on social media because I think Arsenal fans would agree with me. Theo, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the kind of game Arsenal in the past, they wouldn't leave there with 3 points. It'd be 1-1, and somehow they got a point. That was as convincing of a defensive performance I've seen in a long time for Arsenal, and I think that builds the foundation of a house. Rebecca, when you come on NBC in January and February, and Arsenal's in a position to win the league, you're going to talk about that performance because it set the tone for how they can win ugly. They will be good going forward. You know that. But can you win a game when you're not at your best in the attack, you don't dominate the tempo of the game with possession, and you still can bend but not break and win 1-0 on the road with the gift of a set piece? That answer to the question as of today is yes, and I think that serves them in a positive way in the future.
I do feel like, I totally agree with that as well. And the fact that how long can the forward players live with,
yes,
I want to be a bit free again. I don't want to do it this way. That's the part that will be the hard part for some of the players to adapt to. Someone like a Madueke coming on, energy, and he likes to express himself. It's taken away from him. But for results, how long can they keep doing it for? Don't get me wrong, I would want them to continue 1-0. Every time we have an Arsenal prediction, I'll just go 1-0. That's cool.
And also, like you mentioned, Gyökeres, he came up, he started, and then he was taken off in the 60th minute, and he obviously is massive, but physically, but like he didn't do like a great.
He didn't have a shot.
No. He didn't do a lot. 21 touches, I think, no shots. Not the best debut in the world, is it?
Let's just slow down again.
Know,
Sorry,
Theo.
I'm gonna say how it is.
The season.
No. My reason is you need to have games to get fitness and sharpness, and I would have played Šeško I would have started him. Same like with Everton playing Grealish. You have all these players, play them, get them up to fitness
I know, I don't
quicker.
get that. It's so annoying as well for the fans. Everybody also wants to see them immediately, right now.
You spend $100 million and you're like, you're going to come off the bench? What are we doing?
Absolutely, and there were signs of Gyökeres where he running down the channels and really strong, isolating himself. But that's with Saka and Martinelli not playing well as well, and he was on there on his own. So imagine when them two actually start clicking. But yeah, look, there's signs of improvement, of course there is, but it's the Premier League. He was against, this is what I was saying about maybe starting Havertz in that game because it's a tough game. But I think Mikel wants him to get up to sharpness quickly. He needs him.
Yeah.
He needs him.
I mean, it didn't help, obviously, that he sort of went on strike at Sporting Lisbon to try and get a move, which is why he hasn't really done any training, which is why this is basically his training. That didn't help, but then I suppose you could say if he didn't do that, maybe he wouldn't be here.
Rebecca, he'll score goals.
Well, if he scores goals, it looks like they've got the best defence, so I might have to change my prediction for the season. Anyway, let's talk about Manchester United and the goalkeeping situation, because that is a massive problem. After the game, Gary Neville said this: there is a glaring issue that United cannot ignore. It is the fact that they need to find a goalkeeper. The two that have been mentioned in the last 2 weeks, Emi Martinez and Donnarumma. The reason I think they'd be good for United is not necessarily because they're the best goalkeepers in Europe, Gary said, but because they are big personalities and characters. Taylor, they have got about, 12, 13 days. They've got to find somebody. Andre Onana, it was very grey area as to whether or not he was injured. I think he was dropped, like fully dropped, out of the squad dropped, like goodbye dropped, like Højlund was dropped. And we all know looks like he's about to sign for Napoli. So they've got to find one. No questions.
When you are Manchester United, I don't know how you go into a season uncertain about your goalkeeping situation. I don't understand that. I've never understood that. And more importantly, especially when you look at a manager that's managed 28 Premier League games and he's got 27 points, if I'm not mistaken, in those games. So the one position that can, let me rephrase that. There's two positions that can save you points: goalkeeper and a 9. All the other things, okay, but you give up, you're risking all of that. And here's where Gary Neville wins me over with this comment. It's the personality and character. When your goalkeeper is a leader, a personality, he's got the confidence, he's got all of those buzzwords that we're looking for. I don't care what anyone tries to convince me, it gives you the extra 5, 6, 7% that as a defender you can take risks because goalkeeper behind you can save you. They've better figure it out soon. Otherwise, Rebecca, as we just talked about Arsenal, we could be talking about January and February, talking about a trend where they gave up 10 to 12 points at the first month of the season because they couldn't figure out their goalkeeping situation. In my opinion, it's inexcusable.
And Onana is he's a character, Theo. There is no doubt he's got a personality, but it's not really the personality they're looking for. They need more of a Schmeichel personality. No, he's more like, let me play, let me have a little go. It's that kind of personality. They don't need that, do they?
Goalkeepers are always the players in the squad that are a little bit different. They're a little bit, I'm not quite sure, can't read it.
Is that really true? Because you do hear that a lot. Like, are they a little bit weird?
That's the most polite way I've ever heard of Theo. Theo, hold on, hang on a minute. That's the most polite way of ever saying you never really want to go get a pint of beer with, what I mean? They go keep, not really. No, you don't want to.
They're different. They're different. They train on their own. They come in early on their own. They go in the gym on their own and in their little units, and they always have that goalkeeper union, don't they? But and as well, they're just a bit crazy. They have to be, and this is what you're talking about, characters. They are all the keepers that I was with Jens Lehmann, who was completely, off his charts.
Really?
This is where keepers, I think it happens quite a lot now in corners. They just get physically abused all the time. They really do. And I would always avoid a goalkeeper thinking he's going to hurt me here. But now it's the other way around. Players aren't afraid of them. They're not. They're really not. And they can really expose these really fragile people in goal. And this, why you're saying about characters, is probably hit the nail on the head there. Absolutely. I totally agree with that.
But I also feel like, Theo, with what happened to Altay Bayındır for the goal, had that been, I know we shouldn't harp on about 20 years ago, Man United, but I feel like the old Man United players would never have let that happen.
No.
They would have got him off, wouldn't they?
No.
They would have been like, get off our keeper, whereas they just let him be bullied. They let him be bullied.
Or the keeper would.
The keeper would have got him off.
Yeah, or even as well, if you think it's a foul, go have a go at the referee. Make a bit of a scene about it.
Yeah.
But they're just too...
Be weird.
I'm not so sure.
Yeah.
Be weird.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, be
so
weird.
all right, well, they've got less than 2 weeks. They've got to get somebody. So Emi Martinez, I don't know, Villa need the money because they can't buy anybody themselves. But the last thing they need to do is get rid of what is and has been the best goalkeeper in the year, I should say, for the last 2 years, Emi Martinez. We shall see. Manchester City, which is apparently where Donnarumma is more likely linked to go, with Ederson maybe going out the door. James Trafford started for City at the weekend against Wolves. We had Tijani Reinders on the show afterwards. What a nice man he is, by the way. What a lovely guy. Super good at interviewing. Just brilliant to talk to. So good. I've got to be honest and say I slightly slept on City this summer. Mm-hmm. I think last week, Theo, I said they're the most what did I call them? I think sort of under the radar. Not talked about. No one's really talked about them all summer. But even though Reinders is obviously brilliant, I don't know, it just didn't seem to capture imagination, any of their signings over the summer. But oh my God, Theo, what a flipping player.
I'll tell you what, he's got smooth skin. He really does, doesn't he? And the way he plays, silky.
Yeah.
I just love ball carriers. I love ball carriers in the Premier League now. And this is what I was saying about Konate before. I just love the fact that players will wait and not release the ball too early. You know, why not use those strengths? And when you have someone centrally that's doing that, and can continually do it as well, you know, it's the first game of the season. It takes time to get fit. What a player they have there already.
Clearly, not does it not only take time to get fit, actually, with everybody, but also no time to adjust to a new league, Theo.
But the thing is, I think the Italian league, with the counter-attacking style that it kind of is, where you can expose a space at times when teams are out of position, I think it suits him down to the ground. He's got people that are good footballers around him that are going to keep the ball. He's going to reserve his energy as well. Goals is the big one. He obviously loves going forward. He loves to, commit himself forward. But so for me, be careful, Man City. Really be careful. They are angry right now. They are angry, and I think Pep wasn't even happy with the result, the way they played.
That was the other thing. He came over afterwards, and we obviously interviewed him a lot of times. And normally, after the first game of the season, we normally do a City game. He's normally very relaxed, very happy to chat. I had to ask him 3 questions in the space of about 15 seconds to get him to start to open up, because I think my first question was something along the lines of 4-0, clean sheet, first day of the season, 2 goals for 2 debutants. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, does it? And he was like, yeah, it does, actually. Like, he was actually not very happy. I had to push a couple of times, then finally he started talking. I'm like, oh my God, give me strength. Some of those interviews, honestly, so hard. But he was, like Theo said, not happy, but that's a good thing. And he said, actually, I'm glad that we won 4-0 because now I can be really angry. He's like, now I can actually tell them off from the position of having won 4-0, and now they'll listen to me, he said, which I thought was interesting. Okay, let's move on to the game at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 0. Would have been Chelsea 0, Crystal Palace 1. Theo, thank you very much for that yawn. Had the referee forgotten, like the rest of us, about rule flipping 272. No, it's IFAB's Law 13. For anyone who... Taylor, if anybody didn't see it, Eze looked like he'd scored the free kick, but Guehi had made room for the ball to go through by pushing into the Chelsea wall, and you are not allowed to be less than a... By the way, the rules say you're not allowed to be less than a metre, brackets yard. That's quite literally a different measurement, by the way, everybody. So first of all, make up your mind. Are we doing metres or are we doing yards?
Yes, Rebecca, hold on, real quick. The law it contradicts itself. Which one is it?
Which one is it? Are you a metric referee or are you an imperial referee?
This is where this is where Theo, welcome to me losing my shit right away, because here it goes. What I don't understand is you saw before the free kick's taken, and it's all over social media, okay? If it is a meter, the whistle should have been blown there. It should have been blown there. But when the whistle is blown, it's after the play. So hang on a minute. Is it because the ball hit the back of the net?
No,
or
apparently,
is it because of the law?
Apparently the law is, right, like you said, by the way, no one's enforced it. So that's why no one knew what it was for, because everyone thought it was for the push. Apparently the law is that you have to be less 1 metre, brackets yard, when the ball is in play. So I suppose the ref would say, I can't blow the whistle until the free kick's been taken, because I have to judge where the ball's got to be in the air, and then I look, is he less than a metre? I mean, the rule's ridiculous because all we're doing is ruling out great goals. And sorry, I can't remember who it was that Guehi pushed over, but be stronger is contact sport. So
First off, he didn't really shove him over,
and he
Rebecca.
didn't,
No
right?
chance.
Do you know what I mean? Just be straight.
He screened the goalkeeper, which is what we've done for hundreds of years in this, is you stand away from the wall, and as the balls take you, you come across. Secondly, here's all I'm going to say. Unless he's got unbelievable vision, in the split second he blew the whistle, he could determine that? No!
Exactly.
Well, this is a rule. This is a rule. Just get rid of it, right? Just get rid of this rule. And if there is a fumble or there's a bit of a scuffle in the wall, referee will come over and say, just like he does in corners, right? He'll come over and say, right, guys, any more of that, it's a free kick to so-and-so, right? Because we want to see goals. We want to see goals. We want to see good goals. We want to have a bit of entertainment. And it was a pretty boring game, to be honest. It would have been a nice story for Eze as well, of course, once you lose him potentially. But look, it's just silly rules that players don't even know as well. They don't even understand. They just don't know.
I know. Just on that Eze thing, going to Spurs, and as we're recording this on Tuesday, which, by the way, sorry everybody, we're a day late today, but that's because I was flying back from England and Theo was going to Dorset and Taylor was God knows where. So we're a day late. But on the whole, we're going to record Mondays, everybody, and bring you the podcast on Tuesdays. But on the Eze thing, Theo, I know, just forget your Arsenal allegiance for a second.
Yeah.
I mean, how does a player look at this? You know, he's the hero of Palace, the biggest hero of all time because he won the FA Cup final for us. Is this just an absolute no-brainer in his mind? I know you don't know him, but if you put yourself in that position, is this a complete no-brainer for him to go to Tottenham? I mean, or do you think, I know he's an Arsenal fan as well, but...
I mean, hold on, Rebecca, clarify that for our listeners. That video that came out, did you see it?
Yes. Tell our listeners, Tay.
Okay, so I'm going to get to Theo. I don't know if you saw the video, but there was an interview he had when he was young.
Yeah.
And he said, under no circumstances, because he's an Arsenal fan, he'll never play for Tottenham.
Well, to be honest, it's like I was a Liverpool fan and I played for Everton. So, I mean, it's a hard one. Do you know what's hard for him is... He probably knows this has been going on trying to get this move. And I remember when I moved from Saints to Arsenal, I couldn't tell anyone. And it was the hardest decision. I couldn't speak to anyone about it because of the news and everything. People might say something. And I wanted to share it with my friends or teammates at the time. And I couldn't. I think he'll be going through that as well. He's known he's been moving for a while. And I think that's the hard story for him because he's been at Palace for so long.
Is it more for him a move to a European club? It's almost like he just wants the move. It almost doesn't matter where to, as long as it's a step up. Is that fair?
Do you know what? I said this last week, actually. He would play consistently at Tottenham every week.
Yeah.
Arsenal, we're talking about a team now who hasn't got that freedom at the start of this now of dogging out games. He isn't going to get that. He's got the pressure of winning the title with Arsenal as well, going into a World Cup year, him personally. He'd be guaranteed to play on that left-hand side for Tottenham, in my eyes. So going into a World Cup year, showing himself, expressing himself, maybe even a 10 as well, Maddison not there. He's now thinking, I've got a few opportunities in the different positions that I can actually feature in. And the stadium's incredible. What an absolute atmosphere, what a place to play football.
I agree.
So if I'm looking at it in pure football terms, very good move for him personally. I would love him at Arsenal, but for him personally, football, right decision.
I think Arsenal changed their minds because Waneri signed a new deal and obviously they've got Max Dowman who's coming through the ranks. Maybe they don't want to block. I don't know. We sat behind Max Dowman, by the way, at Old Trafford. He was literally like the row in front of us. This is the 15-year-old. I think he's still 15. For anyone listening that doesn't know, if you haven't just Googled him, you'll see some videos of him. I mean, I just looked at him and he's 6 years older than my child. And my child, you know, still has bedtime stories. And I'm like, what the hell's going on? Like, this is literally a baby right here. What is, how can you even possibly mix with, I mean, you know, Theo, you've been there. Like a teenager, not an 18-year-old, a 15-year-old with grown-ups around you. Like, do you feel so young when you were that age? Did you feel like a baby?
I had to grow up very fast, very, very fast. I couldn't relate to any of the team because they're all a lot older than me. I think he's got a slight difference. He's got Miles, he's got Ethan, a bit younger, who can relate to. I think they'll help him in that sense. So it's very different to what it was like for me. I didn't have the social media side of things when I was coming through as well. Had the paparazzi who were right pain in the arse. They really were following us back in the day. So I just think, look, we need to be patient with him. We do this all the time, don't we? So, but he's still got Ethan and Bukayo Saka ahead of him. Lovely players to learn from.
I mean, we are going to be patient with him.
We will.
No, they are. But you are perfectly placed just to tell us just how good is he, though.
Well, the fact that when you have players that are gifted who can just carry the ball with ease,
At 15?
At 15, and always played up age groups. And he's fearless. And this is what you like with players. This is the players. When you take him at academies too early, you take that freedom a little bit away from him. They've been nurturing this and thinking, go on, keep on expressing yourself. That's why I always tell parents, when you take your kids to academies, don't do it too soon. Just be careful. Let them express themselves at grassroots level or even out with their mates or whatever. And when they're ready, they're ready. And obviously he was, because he's always played up age groups. So for me, they're doing it right and they will keep him protected.
All right, guys, picks of the week time. Theo's already come out the blocks with a 1-0 win and got that right last week. So he's top of the table. Taylor's not even played a game yet, which is a little bit unfair, but, it's life. So we're going to start with you playing catch-up, Taylor, with your top four and your Premier League winner. So go for it.
Here's the thing, Rebecca. I'll go 4-3-2-1. 4 Chelsea, 3 Liverpool, 2 Arsenal, 1 City.
Whoa!
And I'll take City as the winner. And full disclosure for the listeners. I had this written down 10 days ago. I'll post it on my Instagram. It's on Apple Notes, all of that. But it's Chelsea, Liverpool, Arsenal, City, 4-3-2-1.
Okay, I would like some evidence because I do think you just watched them play at Molineux and just gone, oh
absolutely.
My God.
100% I did.
And also, I feel like that might be the first person I've heard give City that prediction. But fair play.
Even Liverpool in third. Third.
That's a math. Yeah. And then we just poor old skipping over Arsenal in second again. So. All right, so game one, chaps. I would not like a score and a scorer of Manchester City against Tottenham, which is on USA Network this coming Saturday at 7:30 a.m. Eastern. Theo, City-Tottenham, score and scorer.
I'm going to go for a 3-0 Man City and Haaland.
All right, Taylor.
Full disclosure, I had 3-0 written down and I had Haaland, but I'd like to do this for different reasons and different fun. I will do 3-1 City, and I'll take Reinders as a goal scorer.
Okay, so just so you know, the rules of this very stressful, high-profile picks of the week is that you don't have to change your score. I appreciate your sportsmanship.
Yeah, but it's better.
Taylor.
I just don't want to.
I know,
no.
I appreciate that, but this is serious stuff. Everyone's going to be listening every week for this, so don't worry.
I'd rather finish last, but be controversial and create content versus.
I can't believe you gave Tottenham a goal. I can't believe you gave him a goal.
I gave Tottenham a goal just because you didn't.
Yeah, I'm doing 2-1 City. So I'm giving them a goal too, and I'm doing Haaland. Look at us, we're all so boring, but I'm doing that. Okay. Arsenal Leeds, Saturday, 12:30 Eastern, which I'm fairly certain is on NBC, big NBC as we like to call it. Theo, are you going 1-0 to the Arsenal? No. Goals in that at home to Leeds, aren't you?
I'll go 2-0 Arsenal.
All right, Taylor?
I'll take 3-1. You're not even asking me, but Gyökeres gets his first.
Oh, okay. I'm going 2-1 to Arsenal Saturday. So the third match is Newcastle-Liverpool, which is Monday Night Football, which kicks off at 3 p.m. Eastern. Ooh, good game.
Yeah.
Isaac. Go. Theo.
I love the fact I go first. It's all good. I'll go 1-1.
Oh.
I'll take 2-1. Liverpool 2-1.
All right, I'm going Liverpool 3-2 because I think there could be a few more goals in this. All right,
I agree.
So if you think you can beat us, please feel free to send us in your scores and picks of the week. Send them in the comments and we'll have a little look at those. So thank you very much, gentlemen, for picks of the week. We're going to move on to our final big topic, which is, Taylor, this could be the moment that you come into your own because I do feel like this has riled me up. And although I hold an American passport, did you know that, Theo? And I'm an American citizen now. I'm what's it called? Not bilingual, definitely not
bilingual.
Dual,
but although based
not.
on this podcast, you could argue there's 2 different languages.
Dual citizen. Anyway, I got riled up and annoyed at this, right? And I'm not even born here. So for anyone wondering what we're talking about, the Pulisic documentary on CBS and Paramount Plus. I haven't seen all of it yet, but there have been some clips that, of course, gone viral this week in which Pulisic and Tim Weir are having a go at ex-pros, like yourself, Theo, but not at you, like the equivalent of you, right? So like Alexi Lalas, like Taylor Twellman, like Landon Donovan, like Tim Howard, all of them, basically, Clint Dempsey, and they're having a go. Let me just quickly read you what he said, because of course, let's not forget the background to this. As he pulled out of the Gold Cup, he said, I don't want to, I need to rest for the summer. To be fair, he did score for AC Milan at the weekend, but he wanted a rest, and this did not go down well with, I don't think I heard a single ex-pro, Casey Keller being another one, who was happy with his behaviour over the summer. Pulisic said this: "I'd say the most annoying thing, and for me, the biggest cop-out of all time, is when especially all pundits want to say, oh, they didn't want it, they didn't have the heart, back in our day, we would fight and we would die on that field. In my opinion, they disrespected me in a lot of ways and completely forgot about what I've done for this national team for 10 years. It sucks." Tim Weir, on the same episode, about Pulisic said, "Those guys," meaning the ex-pros, "are chasing checks. And for me, I just feel like they're really evil. Because they've been players and they know what it's like when you're getting bashed. Those are the same guys that'll turn around and shake your hand and try to be friendly with you at the end of the day. But quite frankly, the guys before us didn't win anything either. Christian himself has had a better career than every single one of the guys that speaks negative on us." That was from Tim Weir. And then Marc Pulisic, Christian's dad, who's very present in this circle, said, "These guys want clicks. It's social media. It's subscribe to my channel, listen to my podcasts, or whatever." And actually, while we're at it, if you could subscribe, though, to this channel, that would be great, because we do need as many clicks as we can get.
Be awesome. That's the whole reason why we're doing it. Thank you very much.
Correct. Thank you, Mark. Correct. Okay. I think for me, it's the fact that there's so much conversation going on off the field about people who are simply doing their jobs. Just talk to me about your thoughts on all of this.
First and foremost, I've never questioned Christian's commitment. And the moment Christian took himself out of the Gold Cup and all of that, I immediately told the public he's never been someone that I questioned his commitment on the field and everything else. He's fully been committed. So absolutely 100%. Christian, you have every right to defend yourself when it comes to that. However, what's very, very interesting to me is all of this has been created by them. See, you cannot be upset with anyone that is doing their job. Anyone. So whether it's Alexi, Clint Dempsey, Landon Donovan, Tim Howard, Taylor Twellman, Stu Holden, anyone doing it, that's what you're paid to do, is give your opinion. So with all due respect, you should have the respect to realize they're doing their job. You could disagree with them. That's not what I'm saying. You don't have to agree with them, but they're doing their job. It's not about cashing checks, Timothy Weah. Secondly, Timothy Weah, and for our listeners to understand this, those comments were made because CBS didn't do a good job of divulging when those comments were made. They were made after the Nations League debacle, which was in March or April, if I'm not mistaken. So way before this summer even came. Theo, that was a debacle where the United States men lost at home to Canada the first time in like 70 years, 80 years, for the third straight time to Panama for the first time ever. So here we are having conversations about the biggest moment, the biggest World Cup for the United States men's national team, and all we're talking about are players throwing their toys out of the sandbox. This is coming after a 22 World Cup that was completely marred by what? Not the United States men playing in the World Cup, but by Giovanni Reyna and his mom and dad going against Greg Berhalter and his wife. So for the last 4 years, the general public is all they've heard about are parents and their disgruntled kids. Can we miss me with this shit? Honestly, in 2014, that World Cup, Theo, the United States men, they should have beat Portugal, but Ronaldo and Portugal salvaged a draw in the last minute. They got out of the group of death. And so all of a sudden, under Jurgen Klinsmann and those players, there was this conversation. Well, how do you compete against England and Italy and Brazil and Belgium? And Tim Howard made 15 saves and we lose 1-0 to Belgium. The conversation was about on the field. How do you bridge the gap? Now all we're talking about are documentaries, series, podcasts saying that everything I do is scrutinized. Theo, could you imagine if Christian was English? If he was from Argentina, from Brazil, from Germany, the amount of scrutiny. And so this is where I get really, you lose me here. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't be the star and the face and the captain and not expect any scrutiny. And also, newsflash, this isn't the first player in the history of the United States to be scrutinized. But then you bring your dad to the fight. And wait, this is a real issue for me, and it's not a soccer issue. The NBA Finals, Halliburton had his dad on the court celebrating and talking shit after the NBA Finals. What the hell is going on here? Grown men and women do not need mom and dad to come to the fight, because the moment you do, you lose the general public. Rebecca, it is August 19, 2025. It is 9 months before the World Cup, and we're still not talking about anything on the field. Nothing.
Devil's advocate.
Yes.
Advocate. Theo, there's very few lights that shine brighter than what you've had to deal with in your career. Do you agree with what Pulisic and Weir said about ex-pros, or are you with Taylor?
I love the fact when ex-players give insights to, how they would have dealt with a situation, or given their point of view, how their thought process in that player's eyes as well. That's how I've seen the pundit side of things. That's how I'm going into it as well. But if I'm Pulisic, or I've been in this position, just don't say anything. We'll just be boring. Just give boring answers and just play your football. Like, the amount of times in England, that was maybe a reason why I left England, because the constant flow of, screw thee and everything, each and every day, a week, even walking down your street. I mean, I'm in Dorset and people are like, what are you doing in Dorset? I'm like, I'm normal. I like to go on holiday. I like to do things with my family. I'm very normal. I just think as players, you don't have to give too much an insight. You don't have to be too honest away from the people you don't trust.
But he's doing a documentary, so he's.
Well, and that's the problem.
For money, of course, right? For money,
and which he doesn't need.
So is that trying to have your cake and eat it too? Then.
Well, he doesn't need the money side of things. I'm not a big fan of parents and family members getting involved. I just don't see the point of that. There does nothing at all for anyone bar the actual parents itself. It's going back to the parents want the young players to become footballers because it's all about them as well, not about their kid who's potentially getting burnt out. I just think, look, like you say, they are adults, let them deal with it, but let them deal with it on the football field, because that's where they do their talking. It's such a simple philosophy, but it is, like, for me, it's I kind of understand it at some point, but I'm a little bit, no, I think it's important for players or ex-players to give their point of view in something. I don't see a problem in that. It's just like how he's taking it, and don't take it too personally. I think that's one thing as a player. I've always got, when I went to the World Cup at 16, 17, I knew that everyone there knew I shouldn't be there. I knew that. But I had to get on with it. I didn't go around crying my eyes out. And I was 16, 17 at the time, where mentally I'm not still developed. I'm still trying to learn how I'm like as a footballer, as a person. I didn't cry about it. I knew everyone that I shouldn't be there. I got on with it. So, and he's a very established player. So he should know better, really, not to react.
The pity me attitude is where it's like, hang on a minute, guys. And I'm not saying mental health isn't part of footballers and millionaires and all that. That's not what I'm talking about. But you're saying pity me coming off your two best professional seasons. Your two best professional seasons. And Theo, this is important. I don't even know if Rebecca knows this, but the listeners need to know this, because I've done some homework and asked around. This was all created around the Gold Cup when Christian and his representatives did not release a statement of saying why they weren't doing the Gold Cup. Because if they did, U.S. Soccer was just going to go based on the statement. But then Pochettino and company are sitting there saying, wait a minute, where's the statement? It was supposed to be released 5 days ago. And now Mauricio's saying, hang on a minute, are you trying to pull a fast one on me? You follow where I'm going. This wasn't created by anyone on the outside. No, nobody on the outside.
Oh, I'm looking forward to the next 10 months. We're going to do daily, weekly Pulisic. I told you, Theo, didn't I? Taylor's going to come like a hurricane, and he absolutely did. He came in there like a hurricane. You've got to love that, let's be honest. Also, just to be clear, if my Teddy ever plays for the US men's national team, I will be on the field. I will be in every interview. I will be right there being absolute
Rebecca, I will rip
mom.
the shit out of you the moment you're on the field. I'll be like, get mom off the field.
Brilliant. All right, guys, before we finish, quick question from one of our listeners and our viewers, because we've been asking you guys, and while I have you, please do send us in questions, leave them in the comments, send them in to us, because we love to answer them. That's how we're going to pretty much finish each week. So this one comes from Amelia from Everett in Massachusetts. That's probably not far from you, actually. Taylor, from your attic there. Okay, hi guys, love the show. Theo, Taylor, did you ever have any pre-match superstitions? Taylor, you go first.
You go, yeah.
The answer is yes. I was the worst, Theo. I was the worst. To a point where in the stadium for home games, my right midfielder, who was my roommate on the road, he had to park to the right side of my car. And if we scored and he had an assist, the post-game meal had to be the same after every game. I was the worst. I was the absolute worst. I had more superstitions to list, but one of those was my right midfielder parked on the right and my left midfielder parked on my left. I was delusional.
Wow. Okay. That's amazing.
Wow.
Theo?
That's amazing. Yeah, no. I never did. I really didn't.
Not a single one?
No, because I just thought, I'm going to beat this left back. I'm quicker than anyone on the field. I had no superstitions at all. Maybe a lasagna the night before. I used to have the lasagnas most of the time, but it wasn't like every week. But yeah, it was just me. I was normal.
That's
I didn't want to
really
overthink
unusual,
it.
actually.
Well, I didn't want to overthink it. I just thought if it wasn't, I just thought what I can control is how I play on the football field. I can make wrong decisions, right decisions, whatever it is. The other side of it, I wasn't too bothered about, to be honest. That's just the way I was. Pretty laid back.
Just real quick before we finish, did you guys see Justin Bieber wearing his Arsenal shirt on Instagram? There he is. Now, hang on. I have been told, because we are all over here desperate
There we go.
to
That's
have
Justin.
our own. That was what, a year ago?
That was a year ago, yes. That was a year ago.
So we're all desperate to hit the 200 million subscriber mark, like new heights with Taylor Swift. So we're thinking if we could get Justin on the podcast. I mean, how did you guys exchange numbers? Are we like besties?
I'm actually in contact quite a lot with his manager. Actually, he's a big Arsenal fan. He's got an Arsenal tattoo. I've just sent him a message. So look. There's a long season ahead, but look, we will try. Put it that way. We will try and get to the bottom of Justin Bieber Arsenal connection. But yeah, he was cool. He was pretty chill.
Jason and Travis, move over. We don't need Taylor. We've got Justin coming. That's going to be amazing. Gentlemen, this has been an absolute dream. I feel like, we've skimmed the surface, and over the course of 10 months, we're going to get into so many more things, even deeper. So really appreciate your time as always, and we will see you next week. That is all we have time for on this week's episode of It's Called Soccer. Next week, the show comes out also on a Wednesday, because we're going to look back at Manchester City against Tottenham and that game at St James's Park, Newcastle against Liverpool. We're also going to dive into our mailbag, so please send us your questions. Whatever you want to ask the chaps, Theo Walcott and Taylor Twellman, send them in and we'll do them next week, as many of them as we possibly can. Subscribe, don't forget to do it. YouTube, Spotify and Apple, and we'll see you back right here next week. Take care, bye for now.